As you get settled in, let's come to lie down onto the back and take the blocks with you. One block is going to be set up towards the left side of your mat vertically. The other block will be closer to you in your hands. Okay? And you're going to make your way down onto the mat. And take a few moments to check in. And noticing as you're resting here, how the back of the body meets the mat. And separate the backs of your teeth, releasing your jaw. As you let your head settle, your shoulders and your arms, the muscles of your back and hips, backs of the legs or the soles of your feet. And notice your breathing. Feel the quality of each breath as it moves into your body, and every breath as it leaves your body. And as you're watching your breath, have some awareness of the body and notice if it starts to tense up as you watch your breathing. And so it's like this little dance between having more awareness on the breathing, more awareness on the body, going back and forth. And if you feel tension rising in the body, to let it soften and go back to the breath. And keeping a steady, smooth pace of breathing. If you notice again, the body starts to add tension, unnecessary tension. Place the awareness back into the body. Soften. And continue with the breath. Now we'll keep the steadiness of the breathing. Take your left foot, find the block with your left foot. You can use your eyes or not, right? So we don't necessarily need to. Poke around. And then scoot yourself closer to the block in case you feel like your knee is pretty open in a sense, right? That if you were to push down onto the foot, it would feel like you're pushing forward instead of directly down. So you'll move in as close as you need to. And then with both of the feet pretty parallel, both knees facing up towards the ceiling, feet are asymmetrical with the left foot higher than the right. Press down through the feet, lift the hips up into a bridge pose into hip extension. Right? And then very slowly, evenly as possible, lower the hips back down to the ground. And you might notice some teetering, okay? Lift the hips up, pause at the top, and then very slowly make your way back down. So some of that teetering is just getting used to this movement, so that might settle out. But then also just some awareness in case we're looking at some different control, right? Where we need to monitor where that control is coming from. And then your arms can be overhead, or you can add some shoulder movement, lifting the arms up as the hips come up and lowering the arms as the hips come down. So really anywhere the arms feel comfortable. And we'll do another one. And then release down. Good. Let's move the block over to the right foot. Okay, so use the feet, draw the block over, take your time, feel and sense with your feet as if they were your eyes. And then have the feet again, about hip bone distance apart. Feel the difference between the right foot a little bit higher, left foot a little bit lower. Does that create any difference in the hips for you while they're still resting on the mat? And then pressing down through the feet, lift the pelvis up. And slowly make your way down. If there's a lot of movement or shifts, right, the hands can help control that movement using the hands on the ground. If that feels pretty steady, then add the arms overhead and back down. I kind of like my arms just up because then all of my focus is really what's happening in the lower body. And as you press up, make sure that you're pressing up and reaching your full hip extension, especially in the right hip. Okay? And then slowly back down. We'll do one more. And then back down. Okay, so now move that block over to the left side again. Now you're going to take your right ankle, cross your right ankle past the top of the left thigh, so we're in flipped pigeon territory. Okay, now another option is to take the second block and take the block between the ankle and the thigh. The outer foot doesn't have to, make its way all the way down onto the block. So you're either wedging the block between the foot and the thigh or flipped pigeon as it is. Okay? Then, wherever you are, press your limbs into each other, left heel into the block, press up into this figure 4 bridge. Press all the way up into the left hip, and then as you exhale, slowly make your way down. And you'll repeat that a few times. Pressing up and lifting, and back down. Each time you lift up, press the right thigh away from you. You may notice that it sort of curls in towards your torso as you lift up. Not so much if you're using the block between the foot and the thigh, I've noticed. Okay, take one more, press up through the hip, and then slowly release back down. You can stay here, remove the block if it's between the ankle and the thigh, and then if you want to bring the legs in, you can bring them into figure 4. And a little rock side to side. If you had a lot of cramping sensations in the back of the left hamstring, can straighten the left knee as well. And then bend the knee if it were straight. Place the left foot down. See if you land right on the block or somewhere near it. Release the right foot, and we'll move that setup over to the right side of the mat. Right foot onto the block. Left ankle crosses past the thigh or block between foot and thigh. Press into the blocks, press into the thigh. Hands up or down. Push into the right heel, and then make your way up, lifting the right hip up. Okay, and then slowly with control, lower the hips back down. And you'll do that a couple of times. You can remove the block at any point if you're using it, but try to keep the left thigh moving away from you as you lift up into extension. Take one more, hold it there at the top, pressing right hip up, but also try not to let the left hip dip down. Okay, and then with control, lower all the way down, remove the block if you have it. Okay, you can stay here or draw the legs in, support them with your hands, maybe a little rock, Get into some of those different fibers. Good, and then make your way back through center. Lower the right foot, perceive the block. And then left foot down. Okay, now you're gonna switch the block over to the left foot again. Reach the left foot forward, so it's just the left heel that's on the block, okay? So if it's still on the calf or the Achilles tendon, you're gonna keep pushing the left block forward. And then grab the other block with your right hand. Reach forward through the left heel. Try not to push the knee straight down towards the floor. Think of reaching the leg towards the front of the mat rather than straightening downward. Okay? And then right knee comes in towards the chest. Right foot comes up towards the ceiling. Reach the right leg out to the right, and you're going to tap the right foot with your block. And make the connection between the block and the foot or the leg, but you're reaching or extending your limbs to the right. Okay, and then release the right arm, bring the right leg back through center, and you'll do that a couple of times. Reach the leg out, tap, keep reaching the left foot forward, and then release. And then tap, and release. Bring the left arm out to the left, in line with your left shoulder. We'll go and tap again, but this time, press the leg into the block, press the block into the leg. And almost, we can get this feeling or this sense of like a floating ardha chandrasana or a half moon pose. Good, and then bring back to center, bend the right knee, lower the right foot down. Okay, take the block, use your legs, move it over to the right side of the mat. Right heel drives down onto the block. Press the right foot forward, block switches over into the left hand. Left knee in towards the chest, left foot up towards the ceiling. Reach the left leg out, tap the foot, and back. Okay, and reach, tap, and back. You do that a couple of times. Reach, tap. Reach, tap. As you're tapping, keep a little awareness in this right leg, pressing forward through the right heel, driving the right heel into the block. Okay, this time we're going to tap and hold. Press the block into the leg, leg back into the block. So you're trying to pull the leg up even more. Right arm goes out to the right. Reach through the right heel. Deep, slow, steady breath in. Long, slow, steady breath out. Very active. Okay? And then left leg comes back up. Lower, bend the left knee. Lower the foot. Right foot will follow. Okay, and then place the block aside. Let's roll on over to one side. Using your hands, press yourself on up onto all fours. Come into a tabletop. And then in your tabletop position, have your hands about shoulder width apart. Reach straight back through the big toes. Inhale, lift the chest forward and up into cow. Exhale, press down around your spine into cat. And leading with the tailbone, lift the tailbone up as the rest of the spine arcs into cow. And then lead with the tailbone as you rise into cat back. Good. Then we're gonna do the same thing, but bring the left leg out to the left. Okay? And you could use padding, right? We could put the blanket underneath the foot if you want. Toes point forward. Inhale, lift the chest forward and up. So again, we're working with that asymmetry. And then as you exhale, round and curl the spine under. And do that a few times. Good. Okay, now you're gonna grab your block again. And you're gonna take your block into your right hand. Reach the right arm up towards the ceiling. And then thread. Reach the right arm towards your left leg. Try to reach the left leg with the block. And then unwind. We'll switch hands. Right hand comes to the mat. Left arm comes up and overhead with the block. Reach straight up with the block. And then left arm threads under. Reach away from your left leg. I'll do that switch again. Unwind. Take the block into the right hand. Push through the left. Reach through the right. And then right arm is extended via the block. Reach under. And then unwind from that. Reach the block into the left hand, straight up as if somebody were pulling you up by the block. And then left arm threads under away from that left leg. And then we unwind. Release the block out in front of you. Take the left leg, draw that side in, and then we'll come over to the other side. So right leg is coming out to the side. Few rounds of cow and cat. Reach the chest forward and up. Press down, round, right? And perhaps notice what's happening from the level of the hips to the movement of your spine, right? Even your shoulders, right? Do you start to get pulled into a side bend at any point? Good. And then we're going to come back through center. Grab that block again. This time block goes into the left hand first. Turn to the left any amount. And then thread under, bend the right elbow, reach the left shoulder, side of the head down towards the ground as you reach the block to the foot. It might tap the foot. It might be getting close to the foot. It might go beyond the foot. Okay? And then come on out. And we switch sides. Left hand presses down. Probably a little more space to turn on this side. Reach straight up with the right hand rather than pulling the shoulder back. And then right arm threads under, lower down. And we switch again. Right palm down, left arm out to the side, any amount. Thread under, reach, that's it. Find the toes, and then unwind. Right side, so straight press down through the left hand, reach up as if you're giving somebody the block, and then thread under. And then we unwind and release from that side. Right knee comes on in. Okay, swivel towards, well, you're at the top of the mat. Bring your hands onto the blocks, heels of the hands to the lower edge of the blocks. Wrap the fingers around. Tuck your toes under, lift up and back into Ardha Mukha Svanasana. And then pedal out the feet a little bit. Drop one heel down, drop the other heel down. Good. And then from there, walk your feet up towards your hands, hands towards your feet, support with the blocks, and shift the hips a little bit from side to side once you make your way into Uttanasana. And we'll come back into those twists. Bring your blocks up onto a slightly higher level, either the highest height or the medium height. You're going to grab one of the blocks, the right block. Bend your left knee, left palm on the block. Lift your right arm and block up towards the ceiling. Same idea. Press into the left block, reach the right block up. And then lean a little bit to the right into your right outer hip. And then come back through center. Bend the right knee, right palm to the block, left arm up. Push and reach. And then lean a little bit to the left. Good. And then make your way back through center. Bend your knees, hands to hips, reach your chest forward. long spine all the way up to stand in Tadasana. Okay, and then in this Tadasana, revolve the palms forward and feel the rotation at the upper arms, right? Shoulder blades come a little bit closer onto the back. Pull the head and the chin back so the back of the neck is long. And feel your rib cage expanding and contracting as you breathe. Good. Okay, from here, let's grab the blanket and roll the blanket up. Really any amount is gonna work just fine. Okay, it can be smaller, it can be larger, you can always unroll it. And you're gonna take that blanket flush up to the block, okay? And have that block slightly to the right side of the mat. The other block will be closer to the left side of the mat and right in front of the roll. So you've got one block on each side. The one block that's beyond is towards the right. The one block that's closer to you is skewed to the left. I'm gonna move this one just so that you get to see the foot a little bit better, but the foot is gonna be angled. We've done this in Uttanasana, but now we're gonna do this in triangle. So the right ball of the foot comes onto the blanket roll, heel is going to remain on the floor. Okay, and then the left leg is gonna move back as much as it feels comfortable, right? It doesn't have to be a really long Trikonasana. And then the right knee can bend a little bit as you make your way into the position. So you're gonna shift to the right, okay? And already, because of the way that the leg is angled, that right femur is set back at the hip joint, okay? So you're gonna tilt over, and then the right hand's gonna come down to the block as you steady yourself in this position, okay? You can revolve the chest a little bit to the side. Maybe you'll notice that this right hip can kind of hike up. The left hip can hike up a little bit more. Now you can stay here, or you're gonna switch the hand, reach it towards the right block, okay, if you feel steady. And this way it creates a little more sense of length in the underside right ribs. And not only are you reaching, but it's also like you're trying to pull or drag the right block back, as if I were to tilt the block. And you could do that, right? If you tilt the block, then you start to feel the right underarm, right? The triceps, serratus, alongside the lat, right? Everything is starting to engage to pull that block closer to you. And at the same time, you are trying to reach your chest and your spine towards the block. Okay, deep, slow, steady breath in. Long, slow, steady breath out. Okay, bend the right knee a little bit. If the block were tilted, let it rest. Maybe bring the hand down to the block that was right in front of you. And then steady yourself as you come on up to stand. Okay, and then you're gonna turn the right foot to come off of the blanket, toe heel the feet in. And then again, stand in Tadasana for a moment. Okay, and so it was the right femur that was pulled back. So notice that in your Tadasana, okay? Does it feel like one hip is set further back in the hip joint than the other? Okay, and then if your eyes are closed, you'll open your eyes. I kind of feel like I'm twisted. Even though I know I'm standing in Tadasana, I perceive internally that I'm turned in one direction. Okay, so we're gonna change that up. So the block that was on the right will now go to the left. The block that was on the left will go to the right. Okay, left ball of the foot is on the blanket roll. Heel is on the ground. Okay, so establish that first. Feel steady in that position. There can be a little bend of the knee. Okay, and then when you're ready, slowly toe heel the right leg out. whatever amount. Left heel is still driving down. Okay, and then from there, you're gonna tilt the pelvis. Notice what it's like for that left femur right now as you tilt. And then left hand comes down. Right hand can be up or on the hip. Take a few breaths there. Notice how this may feel different than when your foot is flat on the floor. And then if you feel steady, you're going to switch on over, bring the left hand to the other block, and then you're reaching the left hand, pulling the left side ribs towards the left block, but also maybe tilting so that there's some more activation happening along the left side of your body. And deep, slow, steady breath in. Long, slow, steady breath out. As you pull the left kneecap up, right? Engage the left quadriceps. Good. Okay, and then make that switch back over. Bring the left hand to the inside if your hand were on the other block. And then bend the left knee. Come on up to stand. Turn the left foot off of the blanket and then toe heel the feet back in. Good. And stand once again in Tadasana and notice how that feels. Deep, so steady breath in. Where do the hips feel within their hip joint? And how, as you breathe, how does that sort of reorganize your body, right? Do you feel yourself maybe moving a little bit differently, bringing your shoulders forward or back, right? Does your rib cage feel more settled? Do you feel like you settle your weight further back into your heels than before? Or maybe further forward? I'm always sort of that toe gripper, almost like I'm ready to pounce forward. And so after I do this, I feel much further set back in my feet and in my body. Okay, and if your eyes were closed, open your eyes up. Now we're going to take this into ardha chandrasana. So let's take the blanket and move the blanket aside, but fold it. We'll come back to it. Okay, and then we could T-block. So one block is on the lower height, and then the other block comes up vertically, so you have a little more height underneath your hand, or you could single block it. So I'm going to T-block just for that extra height, and I'm going to hold that block in my right hand for right now. Okay, so right foot is pointed towards the block, hold on to the block, and then you'll reach forward. So it's a little bit of like that Trikonasana dip, and I'm going to connect those two blocks as my foot comes up. There you go. And then the same thing, left hand can stay where it is on the hip. You can reach the left arm forward. But get a little bit of that sense of pulling the right side ribs towards the right hand, towards the blocks, rather than pulling the right side ribs down towards the ground. Good. Deep, slow, steady breath in. Long, slow, steady breath out. And then little bend of the right knee. Shift your way back. Keep that block with you as you come on up to stand. Nice. Okay, other side. So you're going to connect the blocks or block to floor. Left foot points towards the blocks, right hand on the hip. Little bend of the left knee. Okay, and then tip. As you're tipping, think of that triangle. Pull the left side ribs forward, right leg comes up. Connect the blocks. Okay, push the right heel away. And then staying there, or the right hand comes up. Deep, so steady breath in. Yup. If that right hand goes up, it's kind of like when you had the block in your hand, you're reaching that block up towards the ceiling. Good. And then from there, little bend of the left leg and shift your way back onto your feet. Nice. Okay, we're gonna do the other side again. This time, we'll add the blanket. Okay, so we'll start with the hand actually on the block. So that might feel different. And the blanket will be in the hand. So I'm gonna fold this blanket in half so I've got more of like the blanket cube. And then it's like you're serving something, okay? I'm sure nobody would serve anything over their head like this, but you know, it is what it is, okay? So the right knee is bent. You can start with the arm overhead. I know I kind of cut out a little bit, so this is how I look like. I'm gonna reach my hand to the block. And we could stay here, right? This can feel really nice and actually therapeutic for the shoulder. You could internally rotate and externally rotate the arm, and that can be a really fascinating journey right there, okay? But if you want to add the ardha chandrasana component to it, okay, you're gonna come forward, right side ribs are forward, lift the left leg, okay? And then if you wanted to add it all together, right, you could add some rotation up here with the left arm. Yeah. There we go. And then from there, here, make your way down if the leg is up. There you go, come on up. And then drop the blanket as it comes down. Very good. Okay, other side. Switch it on over. Sometimes more of the trick is how to balance the blanket on the hand. Okay? It's like, yeah, who do I see like this? Yeah, right? Like when you have the tray over the shoulder, it's kind of like that's where that's coming from. And then the push up. But you could start right with that arm overhead. Okay? So left leg is forward. Right leg is back. Bring the right arm overhead. Okay? And then the left hand will come down to the block. Okay? And then we can stay here, right? And sort of explore this side angle, little length of the left side body like you were doing in triangle. If you want to move the arm and have a little bit of that weight of the blanket overhead, right? So there's that. Or, you know, shift forward, lift the right leg up, ardha chandrasana. Yes. And same deal there. Reaching, pushing up through the blanket that's in your hand like you had it with a block. Very nice. And then as you're ready, foot's up, foot will come down. That's it. And make your way all the way up. Fantastic. Okay, from here, we're gonna make our way down to the ground. And take both of those blocks, stick them on either taller height or the medium height, okay? And those will be out in front of you. The blanket in the cube form will come between the two blocks, almost like you're making a triangle, okay? So your forehead will come here. If you need to unroll it or roll it up more, then you'll do that. Big toes together, knees apart. Walk the blocks forward, okay? Might shove that forward a little bit more. And then bring your forehead down to the blanket. So your head is between your upper arms, and then the height of the blanket comes to meet the head. They keep reaching the arms forward. So again, you have this sense of length along the left side body, but now it's more of a symmetrical sense of elongation. Deep, slow, steady breath in. Long, slow, steady breath out. And also that sense of groundedness, right? Being on 2 feet, being expansive, challenging the balance versus coming closer to the ground, feeling your body closer together. Good, and then from there, start to walk the blocks back, walk your hands back, and then we'll make our way to sit. Grab the 2 blocks, bring them closer together, still vertical, about hip bone distance apart, and then the blanket right on top of the blocks. Okay, so a little block bench-likeness to that. Okay, and then you'll scooch in again, come on down to the ground, and again perceive. So this is really interesting too because the blocks are up a little bit, and then can you find your feet right on the tops of the blocks without knocking them over? And then you can scooch in a little bit closer. And almost like your lower legs now have extensions. You keep your feet rooted to those blocks as you windshield wiper the legs slowly side to side without kicking the blocks over. So that it makes this windshield wiper even gentler because we're considering this adaptable, movable surface underneath the feet. And you can add as the knees go to the left, look to the right. As the knees go to the right, look to the left. Good, and then make your way back through center. You're gonna bring one shin to the block, the other outer shin to the block for Supta Baddha Konasana, and then let the feet rest in the cradle of the blanket. Place your arms anywhere that feel comfortable. And again, feel the back surface of the body deepening into the ground. As you separate the backs of your teeth, releasing your jaw. Allowing your eyes to be soft. And if you notice tension arising as you're breathing, check back in with the body, release, and come back to the breath. And staying here, or reaching the legs forward for Shavasana. You could remove the setup, add to the setup, however you'd like. And continue to allow your body to rest in Shavasana. Deepen your breathing. Wiggle the fingertips and the toes. On an inhalation, lift your arms overhead, reach through your heels. And then as you exhale, release your arms and soften your legs. When you're ready, bend your knees, place your feet on the floor or on your prop setup, and roll on over to one side. Using your hands, gently press yourself up into any comfortable seated position. And take a moment here to drop into the sides of your body. I feel a space that you've created from the shoulders to the hips. How your breath moves through the torso and courses throughout the body. And join your hands together in front of your heart. And we'll seal our practice with the sound of Om. Inhale in through your nose. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. Om peace, peace, peace. Thank you for joining me today.